going to kind of dive right into it this evening. For those of you that may be tuning in for the first time, either live or after it goes from a live to a video upload, and you're new to me, wondering who the heck is this guy on my screen, my name is Griffin Thomas. I own a pest control company, Preferred Pest Management in the Dallas, Texas area, and on my channel overall, I just document my overall business journey. We've been in business for like 4 years now, and like I said, I just document everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. Occasionally I'll do live streams or videos similar to this where, we have a topic early on, and then as some people start following into the live stream, we kind of open it up for, like Q&A, essentially. So that's what we do here. And it's been about a week already, week and a half since I've done a live stream. Most of you that have been, tuning in for a couple videos know that I took this past week off for the first time in just over 2 years. Crazy how time flies. Last time I took time off was for my honeymoon. So, and a lot of you guys were following during that time as well. So it's been a couple years, had to take some time off. Didn't necessarily, recoup or anything like that. I did sleep in a couple days, but definitely was still go. So that kind of leads me right into just tonight's overall topic as I get everything situated here. About, it's your duty to build your business, start your business. For some of you all, start it and grow it, like the title of the video is. And, my whole point with that being said, if you read the description, you'll see where I kind of go a little bit further in detail with it as well, from the standpoint of, men's roles, women's roles, not to say like women shouldn't or men shouldn't or shouldn't, but, just what I see from my experience as what I would consider roles at the end of the day. And this is for most of my men, what I'm going to be talking about the first minute or two, and then I'll shift over to, ladies as well. Like I said, I describe it all in the description box already, kind of like a little outline. But, one thing that I realized over the last week, and I realized it for a while, but I just don't really talk about this type of stuff too often on the channel, just because I feel like there's already plenty of channels that, dive into all this stuff. But, one thing about it, and it may have been because it was Father's Day, just reflecting on, being a dad for 4 or 5 years now and all that type of stuff. But I was sitting there thinking about, I was like, men, a lot of people talk about, I think even June or May, as a matter of fact, is like men's mental health awareness, whatever. And at the end of the day, people are going to say what they're going to say, but at the end of the day, like as a man, as a husband or father specifically, you are going to be judged based on either what you produce, how good you can protect, or how you can't protect, or how you can't produce, because various reasons. It's going to depend on who you marry. It's going to depend on their family's values, your family values, etc. But in large part, what you can produce is going to affect how everyone looks at you from a man, a father, a husband standpoint. It is what it is. People can talk all the BS they want on MSM about, oh, we need to worry about men's mental health. They all talk the talk, but not very many actually walk the walk, because the moment a man starts to kind of, I'm not going to say relapse, but goes into a bad episode or a bad couple weeks or even months in some cases, just like business. There's seasons to everything. Life, business, that's what we talk about on this channel a lot. And the same goes with your life as a whole, as a father or husband, or if you're single. This is good stuff to know. I wish this is stuff, like I say about my channel all the time, stuff that I wish I knew before I started my business, because not even just my business, but before my adult life, as a matter of fact. And the thing is like I said, you're going to be judged based on how you can produce. So what we talk about on this channel is how to produce, how to grow a business, how to start your business, all that different type of stuff, specifically service businesses. I don't do a lot of the e-com stuff, even though if you look through my channel, you'll actually see where I flip stuff on, Amazon, eBay, etc. But, we don't really do a whole lot of that now. We mostly do the service business type of stuff. And, let's see. We'll take care of that. But what was I saying? Oh, just talking about producing. We talk about how to produce, how to grow, how to even just simply start. I know a lot of my viewers, they're looking at starting their pest control business. So a lot of you guys have already started and you're looking at, okay, how do I grow? Like I'm getting, maybe one or two, maybe 4 or 5 customers a month, but I'm not really getting, the tens or, 20s or even 50 plus customers a month. And that's what we talk about a lot here. But I wanted to hit on that just real quick, like, and for you ladies, like I mentioned, because I was talking to the fellows just briefly about, regardless of what we want to feel, what we wish the world was like, how society makes us think it should be, in reality, as a man, you're going to be, judged based on how you can produce and how you can protect. The 2 P's at the end of the day. How you can produce, how you can protect. If you're not able to protect your family, you're not very physical, you're kind of a puss when it comes to avoiding conflict, you probably don't carry a gun. I know in some states that's illegal anyways, but dang near at least. But, if you're not able to protect or provide, you're going to be judged pretty badly. It is what it is. And then to the women, because a lot of people will take that as, oh, so you think only the man should have a job and a man should. No, 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 no. Because in the reality of today's world, there's so many men out here that can't protect or provide. Let's be real. The average salary now I saw is somewhere around like $39,000 a year, 40. Well, let me look it up actually, as a matter of fact. Not even estimate. What is the average salary for an individual? Let's see. Oh, it's gone up a little bit since I looked last. $56,000. That's not enough to provide. It is what it is. So where I flip when we're talking about men and women, I'm like, no. As a matter of fact, as the stats show right here, with the average person only making about $56,000 a year, women are having to step up, right? Women are having to step up and do the thing. A lot of them out earning you dudes, which again, like I said, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it works for your household, is what it is. But regardless of what everyone wants to say, in those households, a lot of dudes are being judged because of their lack of ability to provide. So, it is what it is. Like I said, are there those rare cases where it just works out perfectly? The wife tends to be the breadwinner and, the dude, is making $20, $15, whatever the case may be per hour. Yeah. Or maybe not even has a job. They're stay-at-home dads now, right? But again, when you break it down, most people are going to judge you for that. It is what it is. You're going to be judged as a man based on your ability to produce or not produce and protect or not protect. And like I said, as for my ladies, you can either sit around and complain about the fact that, hey, most of these men out here can't provide, but what are you going to do? Are you going to sit around and complain about it, accept defeat, accept mediocrity, or are you going to, the old term, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get to work and, maybe be that breadwinner for your family? There's going to be a breadwinner regardless. Again, going back to who cares what society wants to believe. Society wants to believe that both of you should be making $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and, oh, you're making $100,000, $120,000 a year as a couple. That's awesome. But there's a whole bunch of negatives to that too, which, I could get into in another topic in another video. But the whole point is there's always going to be a breadwinner, and, I've seen it many times that when men aren't taking care of business, not just from the money side, but from, the business and all that type of stuff, for those of you that are going to be starting, just starting the business, right? You're going to get a lot of criticism, a lot of, man, you left that job. It was so safe. You had the 401k, the insurance, this and that. Why are you going to put your family at risk? But then you're sitting there thinking about it over years, because I know most of you, you're like me. You didn't start your business as soon as you thought, man, I could possibly do something here. Like, you sat on it for months or years in a lot of cases. And, a lot of people just don't see that. Regardless, again, if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. I was speaking to my men for the most part because, I try to speak on, like, my experience. And obviously I'm a man, so I have more, to say about that side of it. But, you're going to, with that role that we were talking about as a man, you're going to have a lot of people, like I said, even me, my own father, he kind of in ways psychologically prevented me from starting my business quicker, because as soon as we found out we were pregnant with my first child 4 or 5 years ago now, my own dad was like, oh, you're going to have to rethink that starting your business thing now. You can't just think about yourself. You got the insurance. Like I said, the insurance, the 401k, a good job paying you $60,000 to $100,000 a year, depending on how much sales I get and all that type of stuff. And finally, I just was forced to make the decision. So, do not think that in today's world, we can all do math here, right? Like if you're watching my stuff right now, there's a good chance you're good enough at math to get by, right? Like you're good enough at math to figure out that, dude, working a job, working for somebody, some individual, even good bosses that want to pay you good, give you good benefits, give you the best resources possible, even they are at a cap for how much they can pay you. That's why in our industry, the pest control industry, or any service industry, HVAC, plumbing, whatever your field may be, I am a high proponent of, dude, like, do the grunt work, figure out how the ins and outs of the business run. Obviously, there's going to be stuff you're going to learn on the fly as well once you start your business, but do what you need to do to get a good basis. Figure out how to sell. Figure out how to talk to people. Figure out, which by the way, sales is kind of knocking two birds out with one stone with that, but learn the customer service side. Learn the actual service side. Like, learn enough to where you're going to become a well-rounded individual in your field and start your business, because even if you stay as a 1 to 5 man show, you're going to make so much more money, even if you do the old rule of thumb where you're only going to take home a quarter of that money. As a one-man show, obviously that increases. You can take home, upwards of about 50, maybe even 60%, depending on what state you live in with taxes and everything. But overall, you're going to make way more money. Even if, like we said, you don't even grow your business into this massive empire, you just grow your business into like a 1 to 5 man crew, you're going to be making way more. You're going to be providing a couple jobs, and, you're going to, like what I was talking about on this channel, get the life that you and your family deserve. Because, like I said, as a man, that's our obligation ultimately. Like I said, the first couple minutes of the stream, it doesn't matter what society tells you, doesn't matter what your therapist tells you, doesn't matter what your mama tells you about, oh, it's all about what's in here, son. No, it's not. If that's all what it was about, then everybody would be having a 10, right? It is what it is. So, you got to control what you can control, and that is your ability to produce and your ability to protect. Let me get into some of these comments here really quick, because I saw we had a few of you tune in. King Matt said, question. Let's see, is this a pest control customer pest control question? Let's see, yes it is. How do you handle customers that call or text while you're gone? A lot of times I'll just respond a couple days. Like, I was off for the last week, right? I took off from last Friday until pretty much today. So, right at a week and a day. And a lot of them I would still try to respond when I could. Usually I was just responding to people 12 to 48 hours later, but I've already kind of trained my customers to know that, like, hey, if you don't hear from me within 3 days, send a follow-up text or call me again. Because a lot of times either A, it gets shuffled down the list, or B, like you said, if you're on vacation or out or whatever the case may be, it gives you a chance to, see that message. But yeah, that's pretty much how we handle that. And also with open phone, speaking of them, because I saw a comment about the shirt, with open phone, you can set up temporary messages for when you're closed. So what you could do is go into your open phone account, temporarily adjust your business hours. And then since they're calling outside of business hours, which would of course be all day, call or text, it will send an automated message with some text that you can pre-type up about, hey, we're out for the next week. Please let us know, what your issue is or whatever the case may be, how we can assist you, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible when we get back. So that's one way that software like Open Phone can help, which of course, by the way, like someone mentioned about the shirt, they did finally give you all an affiliate code, which is in the description box of not just this stream, but pretty much every video going forward. And I think it may even be in my LinkTree too, which is in the description box. I forgot the deal that they give you. What is it, 10% off the first 3 months or something like that? I forget the exact amount, but yeah. get into some of these questions. It's bed bug season here. That's interesting. Yeah, we haven't had too many bed bugs lately down here. At least I haven't. Can I get a job? Go apply for some jobs. Let's see. Just like everyone is judging me for starting a pest control company, it's wild that people can yap about others. Man, ain't that right? Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, and a lot of times there's going to be people that you would expect to, what's the word I'm looking for? Support you, back you, refer you out to people. Like, I don't know, and I'm not like dogging my family because most of my family that lives near me is my wife's family, anyways. Like, none of my family really lives down here. I had a brother move down for a couple months and then he moved back up, but I don't have like none of my own family down here. It's my in laws, and there's only a couple of them, but like, in terms of not just family but friends, because I do have friends down here, I may have gotten like one referral off of everybody. So, I mean, it's not to say, like, when you go in and start your own business or you go out and take this leap of faith to do anything to change your life, don't expect anything from anybody. That's one thing, going back to things that I learned is don't expect anything from anybody. The less that you expect from people, the more at peace and the more happy you're going to be. Because when you go in expecting, even if you do something for somebody, that's why I always say give without expectation. It's something that even I'm still working on from that aspect, because a lot of times I'll either give to somebody, do something for somebody, and then you pretty much get nothing in return, like not just right then, but really ever. And it can really grind you the wrong way if you're not, like I said, just expect nothing. If you don't expect anything from loved ones, family, friends, whatever the case may be, you're going to be happier just because, that just takes more shit off your plate in terms of your mental. Because I forgot what the statistic was. I think it was Ed Milet was talking about this on one of his podcasts, something about the human brain has, what is it, like 10,000 thoughts or something in a day, something crazy, right? And over half of them were negative thoughts. So why, again, just being self-aware, thinking about your mental all the time, how it can affect your energy, which is going to affect your business and how you are with your kids and this and that and the other. If you can control, hey, in this aspect of giving to people or doing things for people, if I don't expect anything in return, or if I don't expect anything from anyone in general, regardless if I do something for them, if I don't do something for them, if I'm related to them, if I'm giving them money, whatever the case may be, if you expect nothing from anybody, you're going to be happier. You're going to, again, just control a lot of those potential negative thoughts and just make them either A, neutral thoughts, or B, positive altogether. Like I said, I by no means have mastered this. This is just stuff that, again, I have kind of learned and figured out specifically over the last probably 3 to 4 years. Something about, starting your own business. You just kind of start thinking a lot more about the mental game, because you're stressing out a lot about just making that next sale, paying that next bill, making it to the next month, making payroll once you start hiring people. Like, there's something that makes you just be a lot more conscious about, the mental aspect of business, if that makes sense. But, yeah, to your whole point, I always forget how to pronounce that. Is that Ridicule? Like you said, at the end of the day, you can't really expect people's attention. You can't expect their money. You can't expect their assistance. You can't expect them to even understand you, because you gotta, like we were talking about in a previous stream, I want to say within the last month roughly, we were talking about this in a stream that, we're going down a road that 99% of people will never even think to go down. What was it? Something like 7% of the entire population are entrepreneurs, and of that 7%, something like less than 10% are actually successful. So you're talking about such a small percentage of the human population in general, not just in America, but literally worldwide, that you're going to be misunderstood. A lot of times people are going to call you a this and a that. Specifically, like ones that I've heard are obsessed, OCD, Priorities messed up. Like I'm just listing ones that I've heard personally. Like I can't even imagine some things that other people have been called. But just everyone wants to put a label on it because we live in this hyper psychiatric, I guess, society where everyone's going to a freaking, some kind of shrink or a therapist or whatever the case may be. And don't get me wrong, like there's times and places I've gone to them, like there's a time and place for it, but we've developed as a society this culture that like uses it as a never-ending crutch. And you can't keep feeding into that because you're going to start to accept those terms. When think about it, when you go into a doctor and they give you a term like, oh man, you're OCD, what do you start thinking about every time something happens where someone's like, man, that's kind of weird or kind of quirky? Oh, it's my OCD. Oh, it's my ADD. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, well, what are we doing? Like sitting here putting all these like names on ourselves. Like, why can't it just be this is how this person's wired? I'm not wired this way, but they're taking care of business, they're providing for their family, they're super protective of their family, like they're taking care of business, right? You can't worry about it. What's his name? Andy Frisella. The term he uses is what is like crabs in the bucket. I think is the term. He uses that term, and then the other one is the crickets are always chirping the further you get away from them, but the moment you get up on them, they shut the fuck up. Like, I mean, that's a very funny, but true analogy. Like, everyone is so quick when they're far away from you but the moment that you try to get up on them and you're in person with them, oh, hey, how's it going, Steve? Oh, man, I heard you're doing great things. Like, everyone kisses ass at that point, right? So, at the end of the day, you can just control what you can control. As I'm sitting here still looking at this crazy statistic about the average income per individual is less than $60,000 a year. Yeah, that was as of 2023, so within the last year. Man, that's just crazy. Like, I mean, it's no wonder that we live in families and households where there's two income earners and your kids are getting shipped off to usually the most cheapest because it's what you can afford, especially on that type of salary, right? Cheapest daycare, and everyone wants to talk about indoctrination. Like, what do you think is going to happen when you developed a society where both parents have to go, and this is getting off on another tangent kind of, but it all connects at the end of the day. Like, what do we expect as a society that's now developed to where most people, because again, this is the average, most people live in houses where it has to be dual income just to survive. Like, what do we think is going to happen to the kids when you're sending them off to a place down the road that you probably vetted them because you're a responsible parent, but at the end of the day, you're not in that class or you're not in that, child care center, whatever they call them nowadays. You have no idea what's being taught to your kids and what kind of limiting beliefs and limiting mindset and all this stuff, is being pushed into your kids. I even have to be mindful of like different family members that we let our kids around because what gets into your head, it's not leaving. What you hear, it like I said, we go off on a whole tangent about it. I'm not going to go too in deep on it. Like I said, it all makes sense when you start connecting these dots, and that's why like I stress as much as I can without getting too like political or anything crazy like that. Just you guys got to do whatever you can to get out of this, what they call the rat race. 59, I guess it's 59,000 as of 2023. Well, the 56 was 2022. Okay. Either way, less than 60,000 a year. It's just not sustainable. That was a 5% increase, which shows, the power of inflation over the last couple years. Usually wages only rise about maybe 1% to 2% a year. That's why I've been beating the drum since I've been an income earner, that whenever possible, as soon as you develop a skill that you can create a business around, start that business. Even if you start it on the side, start that business. It's your duty to not just start that business, but grow it. Grow it as big as you can because you're not just building a source of income, but you're building a legit asset. We were talking about on a recent stream, how to, what was it? Something about questions to ask when buying a pest control company. Because there's a lot of questions that people don't think about. They go and purchase a dead brand that has no legit proof of any customers whatsoever, and they'll go pay $100,000 to $300,000 for it. My whole point with that, going back to where we're at tonight, is you're building an asset. You're not just building a source of income. If you're building your business properly, you're building an asset. So you're not just relying on these like 401ks, Roth IRAs, all this shit that is so, dependent on how the economy is going, how the stock market's moving, all this stuff. You are essentially creating your own economy within your life by building your own business. Like I said, even if you're just starting a little 1 to 5 man crew, obviously the more that you get, the bigger, the asset's going to be. But even as a one-man show, like in the pest control industry, for example, you take a one-man show that literally builds up a whole route, a dense route, which is why we focus so much on local SEO and all that type of stuff to try to get these super tight routes. You develop a real tight route, and it's doing, say, just a easy number, $250,000 a year, which is pretty good, but isn't the most that I've ever heard for a route. I've heard of routes doing over $300,000 a year. So, $250 is very reasonable. You build a route doing $250,000 a year of recurring, not including one times, not including quote unquote insurance policies like termite renewals and exclusion renewals, all that, just straight up recurring income. That business is going to sell, just off my estimates, probably about $400,000 to $500,000 at the minimum, probably, depending on what assets are involved, how much debt's involved, all this other stuff. But, like I said, you're building an asset. So let me see if we got any other. I want to make sure I'm caught up on. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I read that one. How's it going there, Sesvo? Good evening. Open phone has been awesome. They are loving. Oh, people are loving the automated text after hours that I've sent out. Yeah, so all about those automated texts that we were talking about earlier. Like I said, it's really cool to have a way to keep in touch with your customers, even if you're not present. Funny enough, I slipped up this last week and didn't edit my stuff to where when I got a text or call, it would hit them with, that automated message of things, us being out of town, and that if there was anything going on, let us know and we get back to it as soon as possible. But it's very cool, especially, sometimes I'll get annoyed because I have it set up for our business hours of like 7 or 8 a.m. before calls and texts will start coming through, and occasionally I'll be awake and it'll say missed call, and I'll be like, what the hell? And then I'll forget, oh, they called before business hours. So usually I gotta call them back when that happens. But open phone's pretty cool. Like I said, if y'all want to try it out, we do now officially have like a affiliate link for you guys in the description box, all the videos now. I forget what it costs in terms of if you just pay for 1 year. I want to say it's something like $200 for the year. That includes the phone number and the access to, all the software stuff. And if you don't know what Open Phone is, of course, just to hit that real quick, it's just a kind of like a VoIP service. It doesn't do the marketing tracking, but it pretty much allows you to keep your personal phone, but you can use your personal phone as a business phone too. It's essentially an app that you just download on your phone, and it's something like I said, about 15 to 20 bucks a month. And like I said, it's around $200 a year if you pay for the year up front, plus or minus 20 bucks or so. And it beats, having to go. We use Verizon, and we had two phones for the longest, a personal phone and a business phone. Had the business phone not been free, we would have been paying upwards of an extra $70 to $100 a month to have that second line. We were still paying something like $50 or $60 a month to have that line open. And then having to carry two phones on top of that, where now I just carry my work phone. Well, I say my work phone, my personal phone that I use as my work phone because I have Open Phone. And we've been using it for pretty much a year now. Our 1 year renewal will be in July. So we've been using it long enough now to know that We definitely like it pretty good. It does run off of internet, obviously. So if you're in a bunch of areas that have bad internet service, you're going to have some issues. But I always say it's just like your voice service, right? Say you're with Verizon and you know there's low spots where you don't have good service. It's going to be the same thing for open phone, because it relies on your service with your cell phone carrier. Because it's not a carrier, it's just an app that you can put on your phone and essentially get two phones out of the price of one. So mine was 180 for a single line for the year. Yeah, 180. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, let me see actually, because I have open phone pulled up on my desktop here. Let me go in here. Plans and billing. So we have, let's see, 2 users, business plan, annual. Mine says 240. So yeah, you must have used the code probably to get a deal, because ours was 240 for the year. We have our extra line, which is $60. That's another thing. Once you become an open phone user, which by the way, this video is not sponsored by them or anything. I just saw someone bring them up once or twice because of the shirt that I'm wearing, but I'm just going over like our plan. Like I said, we have 2 users, so that's 2 numbers. And then as soon as you become a user, you can actually port in a phone number, and it only costs like $5 a month. It's $60 a year if you port in a number. So say you've been using 2 phones, which this is why we ported in a number, because we had 2 phones and we wanted to keep this number. We ported that number in to open phone, and it's just $60 a year. So we got 3 numbers for $300 a year. Or no. Why is it? For 540 for the year. Sorry about that. Because it was 240 for the 2 users with the 2 numbers. So that's 480, and then like I said, 60 for the other one for the year. So yeah, no, it's definitely a cool tool for sure. That in combination with GorillaDesk, and use Zapier and CallRail, integrate everything. It makes your life so much easier in terms of tracking your advertising efforts 100%. You're not just that, but limiting too on how much work you're having to do on the back end in terms of adding the customer's information in and all that type of stuff. But hopefully you guys too are enjoying the stream so far. If you are, do me a favor. Smash the thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe as well. Hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. That way we won't miss any future live streams or videos that we put out. I see we got about 10 of you roughly in here, plus or minus a couple. And we're at 4 likes, it looks like. So do me a favor, smash the thumbs up, spam it, share it with somebody, whatever the case may be. Trying to think if there's anything else. Let me see if we got any other questions or anything. Yeah, I was trying to not be too, what's the word I'm looking for? Too extreme, I guess is the word we can use when talking about this whole, like men, it's our duty to, provide this and that, because heaven forbid I piss off some liberal trolls or something and they start coming at me, calling me a this and a that and a that, and whatever. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm speaking facts. If you're ever going to meet as a man, a woman that's of value, it's not to say that she's like, oh, there's women that are like crazy now. I totally understand this. There's women out here that think you gotta be 6'5" and make $10 million a year. I'm not talking about these crazy bitches, right? I'm talking about a good woman that wants to be a good wife, just what I would consider the traditional family, right? If you meet a woman like this, she's going to expect you to hold up your end of the bargain. So like we were saying, if you're stuck at a job where hey, my earning potential is capped, then it's time to either A, switch over to a company or a role at a company where you have more potential to grow. This is where we talk about the whole idea of entrepreneurship, where you have an entrepreneurial mind, but you don't necessarily have the balls, more, let's call it what it is. You don't really have the balls or money maybe to actually leap out, take that leap of faith and start your own business. That's where you got to kind of develop more of that entrepreneur mindset of like, hey, I know this isn't for me. It's not for 95% of people, but I do understand that like my role as the husband, as the father, whatever your role may be right now in life. I'm speaking specifically to like my fathers and husbands again for a moment. If you understand that like, hey, the whole entrepreneurship thing isn't for me, but I know that I gotta make more money and where I'm at, my earning potential is capped. Don't be one of these loser motherfuckers that get online and talk about how, oh, mean old capitalism, da da da. Like, instead, pivot and start looking on LinkedIn, start looking on Indeed, like, start looking for opportunities where, ooh, hey, this is an entry level position, so I may take a pay cut in the short term, but I'm getting in a company where in the long term I can work my way up and provide a bunch of value for this business and go knocking on the door one day a couple years down the road and say, hey, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm the best at this, I'm the best at that. The results speak for themselves. Pay me, right? Any good business owner, if they know someone's good at this, good at this, good at this, good at that, they're going to pay you, especially a business that's actually looking to grow and win. It's kind of harder once you get in some of these big companies where they're just sitting on their money, sitting on the investors' money. That's another tip I will have for those of you that are going to kind of go the entrepreneurship route is don't go towards like the Fortune 500 companies that have already made it. Look at smaller businesses, maybe not mom and pop small, right? But like startups, again, you're taking on more risk because with startup companies, they can fail just as quick as they can blow up. But if you put in the hard work and you help them grow, you're going to reap a lot of that benefit. So, that's kind of going a different route than most of my audience that I know is watching right now and going to see this later is going to go. But that's a route that I even talk to my own brother about a lot. I'm like, dude, like, you got plenty of skills where, if you don't want to start your own business, which it sounds like he's going to end up doing, I'm like, if you don't want to, like, just keep your options open. If you got to take a couple dollars an hour less early on, go ahead for that long-term benefit. But, again, people say it's so crazy and taking so much risk starting a business. And I'm like, really? Because I've heard of millions of people being laid off over the last year. They had no idea it was coming. So how safe is a job when they can drop you at any time, right? They don't have to give you a 2-week notice to fire you, but they sure want a 2-week notice of you quitting, right? So, like I said, is it for everybody? No, heck no. Owning a business is not for everybody. But like I said, I am a strong proponent of the fact that, being a one-man show, regardless if you're in the pest control industry, a plumber, a HVAC tech, what's some other ones out there? Working for a mosquito company, working for a pressure washing company, wherever you may be working, it's not a bad idea to at least consider it, right? As a one-man show, because again, there's a big difference between owning a business versus owning a job. And it's okay to own a job. I'm a proponent of you owning your job. I don't think you should stay there. If you have the potential to grow, let me put it this way, if you have the potential, which all of you do, to start your own business and grow it to a point to where you're 5 to 10 years in and you're doing $100,000 to $300,000 a year, you have the potential to grow that to a $1 million, $5 million company. It's just a matter of going and getting the information that you don't have, applying it over and over and over, and just working relentlessly every day to get it. But like I said, that's not for most people. So, let me see what we got. This is a great topic, and I wish more people would think this way. No one near me understands my mindset about wanting to grow and advance. Everyone says, you had a career job. Why did you quit? And that's where you flip it around and say, what's the word you said after career? Job? That's right. I don't want a job. I want freedom. I want an asset, something that I can sell. I can never sell my job, but I can sell a business that I grow. Like I said, even if you go the one-man show route, which please don't work relentlessly to get to your first guy. Once you get to your first guy, if you hate it, fire him off and stay a one-man show forever. But I promise you all, you get to that first guy. Why do you think I'm trying so hard to get back to having another guy? Because I understand that each time we get a guy, that's less time that I'm having to spend out in the field, and I'm actually growing an asset. It is what it is. But like I said, even if you're a one-man show, you grow your company to say 200 or 300,000 a year, because we're talking service businesses, most are going to be around that. You can still sell that for around $500,000. You can work at and by the way, you can build that company in like a few years. We're already doing around 200,000 a year, and we're only in our fourth full year. And by the way, we manipulated a lot of our growth in a bad way. We could have been light years ahead of where we are right now, but like I've documented on this channel, due to stupid mistakes and just not knowing better at the time, we stunted our growth for a period of time, but now we're back off to the races. But my whole point is even if you stay just a one-man show, within 5 years, you can have a business that you can sell for $300,000 to $500,000 easily if you do what we talk about in terms of growing your online presence, doing right by your customers, having the contract, the agreements to show their actual yearly value, all this type of stuff. You build your business right, you're going to be able to sell it for something. You can work, again, we're talking 5 years. 5 years, you can sell that business for $300,000 to $500,000. Where you can work for a company for not just 5 years, not just 10 years, not just 15, not just 20, not just 30. You can work there until you literally roll into your 6-foot deep hole, and you're not going to be able to sell that job for nothing. Your best chance working a job is putting a little bit of money aside in a 401k, a Roth IRA preferably, but a 401k as well if they offer a match. And then maybe if you were disciplined enough to stay out of debt and do that for 40 fucking years, then you finally get to pull out some of that money. But, like we said, I mean, this isn't for most people. It's probably why we don't get, but, occasionally 12 to 24 people in here. But, it is what it is. Let's see. It'll be real funny in a few years when I am far ahead of them. Exactly. Exactly. And that was my point about the whole 5 years versus 40 years. Like, dude, you could literally go balls to the walls in your business, not even just service business, any business. You go balls to the walls for 5 years, or let's even say 10, because 10 years is much, obviously it's twice the amount of time, but it's a realistic amount of time to actually grow a business. It's not very common for people to start a business and take it to 6 figures in 1 year. That's why I get a lot of viewers and all that shit, because, can it be done? Yes. That's why I harp on this shit every single day for you guys, because it can be done. It's not difficult, but it doesn't happen every day. It is what it is, right? So let's say for 10 years, let's say it takes you 10 years, and you build that business up to, like we said, we're just talking a one-man show. 300,000 a year. 300,000 a year, that's probably going to go, I'd say $450,000 business that you just sold. So, and it took you 10 years. So what do you do now? Well, you got $450,000. Playboy. You can either go all in, and a lot of times you got to sign, I know non-competes are going away, but there's still a lot of legal. I still need to do a video about that, by the way, because there's a whole lot of misinterpretation going around about the whole non-compete ending. Like with business owners, for example, say you're a pest control business owner and you sell to Orkin, right? Well, you're gonna have to sign a paper saying that you're not gonna start a business in that area for usually X amount of years. Um, Usually. So let's just say, for example, that's the case. You can't just hop right in and start another pest control business tomorrow, which, wink, wink, hint, hint, get your spouse certified, because if you sell, and sure, you may not be able to start the business, but that doesn't have nothing to do with your wife. Just a little tip for you guys for the future, maybe. But say, like we said, you cannot go back into the pest control industry. You cannot start another business for X amount of years. What are you going to do? Well, you got, like I said, $450,000 that either A, you could just say, F it, we're going to pay off our house, we're going to pay off everything, and just pretty much live like that for the rest of your life. Or you can, like we said, dump that money into another startup of some kind, because you've now built over the last 10 years a whole bunch of skills to be able to go and either A, invest into another startup and maybe be like a partnership, or just completely start another business. Usually it's going to be relatively close field. Like for those of us in the pest control industry, we'd probably go over to something like plumbing or HVAC or something of that nature. Um, it's just one of those things. There's something about doing these vertical live streams where we can show up in people's shorts and shit like that. Yeah, pool cleaning. Pool cleaning, that's another one. Exactly. That's funny you say that, because I was actually mentioning pool cleaning to my brother-in-law like a year or so ago. He was like, what's your plans for your business? And like I've told you guys once or twice, I don't mention it a lot because, when it comes to big plans, I'm a believer of, keep that stuff tight. Don't just go blasting it all over. But I was like, if I don't end up selling Preferred Pest Management, what I'd probably do is just start some companies under the umbrella of Preferred. There'd be a whole new holding company developed that would have the Preferred Pest Management brand, but then also we'd develop, like some type of preferred pool cleaning or pool service or preferred plumbing, or whatever the case may be, right? Like I said, something that'd be more kind of like a long-term portfolio that, who knows, maybe we could take public someday. I mean, like I said, I'm getting into a lot of details when like this is something that I've just kind of toyed around with in my head. We're talking probably like 2055, how far down the road we're talking. But hell, by 2055, I'll still be, 57, 58 years old. So I'll still be relatively young myself at that point. But yeah, no, that was my whole point, talking about building an asset in terms of, selling that pest control business, for example, is like we said, say worst case scenario, you sell that little business for about $400,000 to $500,000. You know, my gosh, the amount of stuff that you can do, it's not limitless, obviously, but there's a lot that you can do with it to either get some quick returns on your money, or like we said, just go balls deep into another field, where you're starting up your own business. You've got a lot of resources. I mean, think about it. Most of us are starting this business, because I know most of you all are here for like pest control business content. Most of us, and even if it's service business, same idea. Most of us are starting with like 10,000 or less. Imagine if you went and started another business 10 years down the road with about $500,000, or even 400, or hell, even 300, just dollar for dollar return on your company's yearly revenue. Think about that. Think about if you had $300,000 to $500,000 head start, if that's what you want to call it, with starting that service business. But now you're going to go start, say pool cleaning, or whatever service business you're looking at, or whatever business in general you're looking at starting. Can you burn through it? Sure. Are you going to? Probably not, because you've been in the game now for a decade plus and you've learned a thing or two. And that 450 can easily turn into another, 5 mil very easily. Just takes years. Just takes years, time, reps, constant hearing the word no, constantly failing, constantly learning, constantly trying again, constantly failing, and then finally, one day the day comes that, oh man, sure, we failed, but now, boom, 10 years later, time to cash out, or 20, or whatever the timestamp may be for you. Nothing else. Yeah, no. I mean, it won't have nothing else. I know it's a Saturday night. It's like 10:30 here in the Dallas, Texas area, so I'm sure most people are, either A, asleep, or B, out partying or whatever. So, I mean, shout out to I saw we had anywhere between like 5 to 15 of us in here tonight. Shout out to all of y'all that, you're out here on a Saturday night when you could be sleeping, you could be hot boxing, you could be partying it up, doing whatever the hell it is you may like to do, but, you decided to hop in, a YouTube live stream about business and just, I guess we didn't even really talk a whole lot of business tonight as much as just kind of the mindset, what you gotta do to, be successful today. Thanks for talking with us about this topic. Yeah, and see, that's the other thing too, because like if I get enough feedback from people on like these type of quote unquote messages or rants or whatever people want to refer to them as, I'll keep doing them, because the reason that I don't do a lot of them is, one, I'm still pretty young, right? I'm not even 30. I'm getting close to 30, knocking on the door, but I'm not even 30 years old yet. I've only been in business for just under half a decade. Sure, I've had other business ventures pretty much since I was fresh out of high school, but, I like to get a lot of experience before I start like coming at just like some heat. And then the other thing too is, like I said, I don't do well with like the whole online culture where people try to cancel people and, people talk shit. Don't really do a lot of that. You guys will see that, if someone comments some dumb stuff on a video or a short, I'm usually pretty quick to kind of send them into oblivion, because, that's the problem is like a lot of creators, be it on YouTube, TikTok, whatever the case may be, they all get so big that they just don't look at the comments or don't respond to the comments anymore. Me personally, like, I don't care. Like, if someone's going to come on here with some BS, I'm going to fire off right back at them. There was actually someone in a YouTube short a while back who, commented some smart aleck stuff, so I gave him the same energy back, and he didn't like it, and eventually he, got to the point where he just deleted the whole comment thread and moved on. That was what I was looking for, ultimately. Because I was like, dude, you're not going to come on my channel and just talk some stupid stuff. And by the way, like, I'll keep commenting with you back and forth, because that actually helps the YouTube video anyways, because more engagement is what YouTube wants. And when they see that, they're going to push the video even further, which is pretty much what I told them. But yeah, my whole point with that being said is like I try to kind of tread lightly for the most part. Try to, I'm not going to say stay in my lane or anything like that, but, I'm kind of selective with where I kind of touch little points here and there. But like I said, if I get enough feedback from people saying that, hey, this was a good one, this needs to be said, this and that. One, y'all should be saying it too. It shouldn't just be us online saying this type of stuff. But, I'll bring some more heat, to say the least. Maybe it'll add a little jazz to the live streams going forward. So, I think that's going to be it for the night. We've already been on for about an hour. That's another thing I'm trying to do is kind of not necessarily limit these streams, but man, some of them get to be 2 to 3 hours long, and my God, that gets pretty long, right? So trying to be a little bit more concise. Now, if there's enough chat going on in the chat, then we'll stay on, but yeah, man, I think we're at a good stopping point tonight. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Like I said, if you haven't already, smash the thumbs up button. And if you haven't already subscribed, hit the bell icon, subscribe, all that good stuff that we won't miss any future live streams or videos. Go ahead and check out the links in the description box. I try to put things in there, specifically my LinkTree, that, you'll benefit from. And yeah, if you have any questions after this goes from a live to a video, just drop it in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see y'all in the next one. Have a blessed Sunday.